Hello and good evening and welcome to Field Talk. I am the Field, also known as Field of Bears, here to remind you that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. Welcome to you, Roy Bear, and good job on showing up early, even though our favorite Canadian is currently streaming. So, over the weekend, we've had quite a few things to do with the issues surrounding freedom of speech. We had a bit of an outrage mob surrounding this Sarah Jeong lady for her very, very anti-white racist tweets. We had Candace Owens banned for doing for copying her tweets and changing a single word from white to Jew. And we had more of the Tommy Robinson's story come out. I hope you guys all saw the video I shared from his channel. It was quite disturbing. You had to read it. It was more like a text post with music. And the big one, the coup de grace. We have Alex Jones, the king of gay frogs himself, banned from Facebook, from Apple, and from YouTube, all day, all on the same day. And we know that this is not anything to do with so-called policy violations, because they are not citing any evidence of where their policies were violated. Instead, what they're doing is saying that he spreads hatred and misinformation without giving evidence of either of those things. Now, misinformation is a bit of a spurious claim because a lot of the times Alex Jones is involved in stories which are contentious, which have unsettled facts. And a lot of the time he might actually be right, and a lot of the time he might actually be wrong, and only time can tell. So I don't think it's quite fair to say he's misinformative when he's just maybe jumping the gun, so to speak. Oh no, I'll admit it. I'll admit it, Roy Bear. As absolutely freaking insane as I find it to be, Alex Jones' success rate is a little bit disturbing. I'm not exactly comfortable with how often Alex Jones has been right. I'm not exactly super cool with Paul Joseph Watson's treatment of Ben Shapiro. I know that they don't like each other, but come on, dude, we live on the opposite side of the planet. I mean, like Ben and I. Of course, it was going to take him a while to get to it. He's not operating off of Airstrip 1 time. He's off of California time, like me. So that saying that little Ben wouldn't have the courage to stand up for Alex Jones, that was unfair, and he should apologize to Ben, and I haven't seen that today. I didn't see Ben's show this morning. I've been trying to catch up on other shows. But as I understand it, he defended Alex Jones' freedom of speech and the, let's just say, spurious reasons why these various big tech companies had for banning him from their site. Now, think what you want about Alex Jones. I think he's kind of fun to watch sometimes, but his voice annoys me, so I don't watch him a lot. I know that's not really a very good reason to not watch somebody, but that's just me. However, what you cannot think is that he deserves to be silenced by the corporate overlords. What you can say is that these platforms, these companies, these corporations have the right to set rules for the use of their sites, and they do. And they also have the right to enforce those rules. Again, this comes with a caveat. That means that they are responsible for enforcing those rules fairly. Otherwise, that's what's called discrimination. You can't just make rules to exclude a single person or a group of people under the current legal framework. Now, in my opinion, they ought to have that right, but currently they don't. And the other thing is, saying that Alex Jones was banned for hate speech is just a post hoc reasoning. They don't have any evidence that anything he has said is hateful or falls under anything that is normally understood to be hate speech. On top of that, hate speech isn't real. I mean, certainly you can communicate hateful ideas, and certainly you can communicate your hatred towards somebody, but that is just speech that communicates ideas which are, say, unpalatable or uncharitable, or likewise something you would not enjoy being on the receiving end of. But the concept of hate speech doesn't exist. There isn't a classification of speech which is bad because of the emotions which it carries. The speech itself isn't good or bad, it is just speech. Calling somebody names, the names in and of themselves, it isn't good or bad, it is the intention to emotionally wound your opponent with an insult. That may be good or bad, but the insult itself is neutral, it's just a tool. I don't think it's contentious to say that an insult is very rarely wielded. No, actually, that would be contentious. Insults can be used not to hurt, but to amuse your friends. My friends and I love to insult each other. Heck, my internet buddies and I love to insult each other just to amuse each other, like Dom. And the Canadian, what's his name? Oh yeah, Kyle Kavanaugh. See, there I go, being insulting in hopes of amusing you and them when they come along and see this. So even insults, even an insult, isn't necessarily meant to be bad. And just looking at the words themselves and saying that it's hate speech is impossible because you don't know whether the intention behind them is hateful. Or maybe you can know. But to codify what is leaves out the intentions inherent in human communication, and especially of English, which is a sung language, which I hadn't heard before. But when you think about it, most of our intention, most of our emotional content is not delivered through the words themselves, but with how they are inflected, where the emphasis is, where the tone goes, with pitch and volume. Most of our emotional content is not in the words themselves, but in how they're said. And so, attempting to cordon off any... Hey, Cheddar Bear! Exactly, Cheddar Bear. Hate speech is something that cannot be defined in an objective way. Therefore, whoever is holding the reins of power shall be the one who decides what hate speech is. And since there isn't a written codification of what is and is not hate speech in the YouTube terms of service, that means that it is simply there in order to provide a post hoc reason for people to be punished without reason, or for a reason other than what is in the YouTube terms of service. Now, if YouTube was honest and said that right-leaning opinions are banned from YouTube, they would have a little bit of a problem, considering right-leaning or to the right of Lenin-leaning opinions are the majority of political content on YouTube, and certainly the majority of popular content on political content on YouTube. So they would have a little bit of a problem on their hands if they were openly discriminating against less communistic politics, because the users would not like being discriminated against and they would go somewhere else, such as BitChute. I tweeted out a link to my newly created BitChute account. We'll see if it does the upload thing off of YouTube after I'm done with the stream. I hope it does. I just set it up. And that leads me into my next point. Competition. There are firms which are much more committed to the concept, not just the First Amendment, but the concept of freedom of speech. Hello, Veteran Bear. It's good to see you in my chat. I love seeing you in my chat. The concept of freedom of speech goes further than just the government can't censor you with guns. If there's a cultural respect for freedom of speech and the concept of a marketplace of ideas, then we will tolerate each other without punching each other in the face or silencing each other or deplatforming each other when we technically have the legal right to do so over the words that we say which we don't like hearing. If we really have freedom of speech, we have a culture which does not abide deplatforming over words. I will go so far as to say that James Gunn deserves to keep his Twitter. Sure. Keep it. I think that I think that he can be a director. I just don't think that Disney would be able to hire him. Not now that people know about the horrible things he said about children. He could totally direct movies. He probably just won't have very much success directing movies for children anymore. And that's just the way that is. But if we really do have freedom of speech, we have a culture that does not abide corporations deplatforming people because they dislike the words, the ideas, or the politics of certain people. If we have freedom of speech, that right goes further than just against the government. He should avoid the children's movies as well, Veteran Bear. I agree with you. The freedom of speech is it's more than just the First Amendment. But all the First Amendment does is protect the concept of freedom of speech from the government. It doesn't protect the concept from corporations. And corporations sometimes will attack the concept of freedom of speech. Now, luckily, most of the time, corporations don't have guns to point at you and tell you to shut up. And so when they contravene freedom of speech, they should feel pressure. Their users, their customers, should let it be known that they like freedom of speech more than they like their curated political, more than they like their curated political bubbles. They like freedom of speech more than the bubble. And it should be it should just be well known that anyone who contravenes freedom of speech runs into problems. And so I encourage you to go and make an account at Minds or Gab or BitChute. You don't have my BitChute link in the description, but in the description there are links to my Minds page and my Gab.ai page. And from there you can find a sign up link. I don't know how to make and that will help Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube feel a little bit of pressure. These sites are pretty fun. I like them. But most of you aren't on them, which is why I don't spend a lot of time there. Neither are the socialists, and I like to play with them sometimes. The Veteran Bear, the problem isn't that the lack of platforms. The problem is that users are reluctant to switch. So if you make the accounts on these free speech platforms now, they might not get a lot of activity, but the activity you do get will be more substantial. And when Facebook dies, then new users will be flooding into Minds. When Twitter finally dies, then new users will flood onto Gab. But you'll already be there and you will already have a little bit of a following, so your engagement will be multiplied by the new users who suddenly get exposed to your thoughts and ideas. So if you do that, you might improve on how and even if they don't die, then the fact that you're on these other sites and you're making your ideas known there, and you're engaging and you're talking and you're helping those sites become more viable, they might actually improve Twitter. They might look over there and see their business being eaten up by Gab, right? And so they might back off on the censorship. And then you'll have two platforms to use instead of just one. So people should get over their reluctance to join, because the more people who join, the better the platform is. Because the problem that they currently have is that they're not as ubiquitous as the big platforms. So the more people who join the alternative technology platforms, then the smaller the problem that they are currently running into is. And as far as and now I'd like to go ahead and that is what we should do in response. Now, if their goal was to minimize the exposure of Alex Jones, he's not trending anymore, but he was trending all day long worldwide. I have worldwide trends up right now. But he was just bumped down. Alex Jones was just bumped down. So people have been talking about Alex Jones all day. So trying to limit his exposure by banning him simultaneously from 3 large platforms was probably the bad move, because now more people than ever know about him, and we're going to see the Streisand effect. Suddenly, I have much more interest in watching Alex Jones than I've ever had, because he's been banned. So even on that tactical move, on that tactical level, from a political standpoint, it was a bad move. It's a bad business move because people don't like it when they're mistreated. The more people you mistreat, the fewer will engage with your product. The entire point of YouTube is content creation by YouTube, not corporations, not CNN, not major media. Nobody goes to their YouTube channels. Nobody likes them. Nobody likes going to CNN's YouTube channel. Nobody likes going to NBC's YouTube channel. They like to go to Alex Jones' YouTube channel. They like to go to Owen Benjamin's YouTube channel. They like to go to Styx Hexenhammer 666 YouTube channel. They like to go to Razorfist's YouTube channel. These are the names that people like. They like them because they're authentic. They're not covered in 10 pounds of makeup. They don't have 50 bazillion lights. I have my light set up, but that's just so that I don't burn your eyes out with my crazy reflective skin. Lost one. I guess everyone's watching Jordan B. Peterson tonight, but that's okay. People like authenticity. People like honesty. People don't like the fakery. People are sick of seeing dishonesty, of seeing fake news, of seeing just these plastic piles of makeup pontificating their talking points without any honesty or any truth in it, whatever. Yeah, I didn't expect to have a very big audience tonight when I saw Jordan B. Peterson was streaming right now. I feel like I'm missing out on his stream, right, because I'm not watching it at the moment. I am slightly tempted to go over there right now, but I was hoping to get Pinder in here in my chat because I have a little bit of a point of contention with Pinder. You know, if you guys saw his stream, very good stream. You guys should all subscribe. Even though he's rolling back on it a little bit, but I was arguing in his chat with him because he's saying that YouTube totally has the right to ban. Yeah, Jordan B. Peterson is streaming right now. Really? I thought so. It hurt my feeling. I only have one left. But all right, so here's the point of contention I have with Pinder, and I'll go ahead and end it early. Have a short stream today. While they do have the right to set rules for the use of their platform, what they do not have the right to do is make an agreement and then renege on that agreement later. You can't post ex facto create rules after you've already made an agreement with somebody. More to the point, you cannot create ambiguous rules and then rely on disambiguation after you've taken action against somebody. That's something that you don't have the right to do. Deliberately making your rules nebulous so that they can be interpreted in any situation in favor of levying out punishments is something that you do not have the right to do. In fact, I think that's I think it's unethical. I think it's immoral, and I think that it violates somebody's right to have an honest agreement, an honest transaction with you. I think it's fraudulent. I think that deliberately creating your terms of service in such a way that they are nebulous enough so that every case can be interpreted into the result which you desire it to be interpreted into, I think that's fraud. And I think that violates a person's right to have an honest contract with you. I think you're defrauding people out of their time, effort, and content if you're not honest about what the rules are. Just be honest about the rules. I'll quit YouTube and join something else entirely if right-leaning politics are banned. Why would I waste my time with YouTube if I'm just banned, if I'm not welcome? Why waste my time, right? But I don't think I am unwelcome on YouTube. I think that the users of YouTube will really like me. So I'm going to put my effort in. And just because the boss is a fraudster, I don't want to deprive the customers of my effort. But I will also go ahead and say, go join BitChute in case I do get banned eventually. Go join Minds in case I do get banned. I might not get to have live streams like this where I can talk to you in real time, but I'll sure as heck have videos. They'll probably only be about the length of the monologue, yeah, but they'll still get made. I might end up having more sticks in hand. Something that's more of a sticks format if I can't live stream like this. But I'm just going to keep on going like this, like I am, until such time things change. But yeah, there's my point of contention with Pinder, and that's all. I could keep going about freedom of speech and how important it is to have honesty in contracts, but I think you guys get the point. No one's really arguing against me right now, so I'm going to go ahead and end it and say thank you very much for. Well, yeah, I I think it's important. I you know Pinder also said that if you're using your freedom of speech to undermine the Constitution, then you're out of here. While I can understand the sentiment, I think that it's actually important to have those voices so that you have the strength, the arguments, the sharpest possible tools to use in defense of the Constitution. It isn't just say if you're against the Constitution, you're out of here. You say the Constitution is good because it is a document that constrains government and maximizes the liberty of the individual while continuing to have the structure of a state to defend us from foreign enemies. That's what you say. You say that the Constitution is the most effective document in human history at preserving human liberty, and if you want to undermine that, then you want to create tyranny. And as we've seen over and over and over and over and over again, tyranny is bad for humans. That's what you say. You don't just say you're out of here. You say what the Constitution is, and you argue in favor of it, because it's actually rather easy to argue in favor of it when the opposing side is tyranny. Between the Constitution and tyranny, it's a really, really, really easy pick. So you don't just say you're out of here. You blow them the heckaroo out with a sound, sharp, powerful argument like the one I just put forward. And those are my those are my arguments against the ideas put forward in Pinder's stream in a more articulated and thought out manner than can be done in the chat. I'm sorry that Pinder didn't show. He's probably watching Jordan B. Peterson's stream, and more power to him for that. Thank you all for coming. Please have a. The links to the following places are in the description. Please follow those. If you enjoyed the stream, feel free to hit thumbs up. If you want to see more of this, please subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified. PayPal.me/FieldTalk if you would like to sow the field. A link to that is also in the description. This has been Field Talk with the Field, also known as Field of Bears. Have a great night, and never forget that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide.